ना कर्मणामनारम्भा नैषकर्मा पुरुषोऽश्नुते न च सन्न्यासनादेव सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति. One cannot achieve freedom from karmic reactions just by abstaining from work. One has to withstand and prove their respect towards the society. Good morning, Suprabhat, Guten Tag to all the Jaipurians who have tuned into Radio Spark, the voice of Jaipuria. Today, I, Urvashi Das, welcome you all as a host to the Jaipurian Rendezvous, where you'll talk and the world listens. Man has two great gifts: words to give sound to thoughts, and writing to lend meaning to those thoughts. On this note, I extend a warm welcome to a prolific thinker, a consummate leader, a best selling author, a motivator, a retired civil servant, and advisor, Seth Anandram Jaipuria Group of Educational Institutions, Mr. Vinod Malhotra.
Thank you, Urvashi. Thank you very much.
As an avid reader and an exponent of the relevance of Bhagavad Gita in real life, Vinod sir has authored innumerable books like Death and Eternal Truth, Happiness to Bliss, Managing Life with Bhagavad Gita, and many more books on topics covering leadership, management, and soft skills. A management graduate from Leeds University, UK, and LLB from Law Faculty, New Delhi, he has varied experience in administrative and quasi-judicial roles. During his 38-year tenure in the Indian Administrative Services, his administrative experience covered a wide spectrum ranging from industrial rural development, environment, tax, and art and crafts. As Development Commissioner Head, Handicrafts, he conceptualized Delhi Haat, which is now well famed for Indian handicrafts. In his international role as a national consultant to United Nations, he has offered advisory services in setting up the National Carpet Institute and was also responsible for promoting the Indian motifs in the carpet industry. Your mere presence has filled me with enthusiasm, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
An orator par excellence, a versatile singer with deep knowledge of music. Sir has an uncanny knack to transmute the mundane into extraordinary. For moving forward into the rendezvous, may I have the opportunity of beginning with the first question, sir?
Sure. Most welcome. But let me tell you, you have said so many things about me that I've completely forgotten whether I have been doing it or I can do these things or not.
Sir, you have been doing it and you have set such a great example for us
Thank you
all.
for the reassurance.
Sir, as a young humanities student, I am quite awed by the multi-dimensional roles you have led. So, kindly share your valuable insights of your administrative journey as an IAS and an author.
Okay, Urvashi, let me just try and recapitulate what all I have done in my life. And one thing I must admit, that has been a fascinating journey. I've enjoyed every moment of my existence in this beautiful universe. Every moment. And I have no regrets at all. You talk about administrative journey. Yes, Indian Administrative Services, I joined way back in 1971, it's good about 50 years ago. And been retired for the last 12 years. But if I recollect some of the high points, some of the fascinating events that took place that impacted my life, in fact, enriched my life, and in the process I was able to give back to the society. There were several events, several kind of positions that one held, both in the national context, in a state like UP, and in the domestic circuit, and the international circuit. And everything one did was with that particular very clear view in the mind that whatever decision that I'm taking, are they trying to help somebody out in the street? Are they trying to help somebody who's poor, somebody who's underprivileged? So my guiding mantra was to make sure that all decisions, and you were called upon to make several decisions in the interest of administration, in the interest of management, carrying out government policies, implementing them in the right and
Yes,
in the
sir.
overall interest of the people. And that was the guiding mantra. And I strongly also believe, I want to share that thought with you. I believe in the law, in the administration of law. I
Yes, sir.
believe not so much on the law as on the justice part of it.
Indeed.
So, making sure that, you see, laws at the end of it all are meant to provide
Justice.
help and justice to people.
Yes, sir.
The ultimate objective had to be justice.
Yes. But sir, were you ever scared of failures during this journey? That any major wrong decision or any major setback will set you out?
It would be dishonest on my part if I say that I was not scared of failure. I was. I still am. But that did not prevent me from crossing over it, transcending that sense of
Yeah.
failure. See, the life is full of
Experience. Yes.
experiences. Life is full of failure and success,
Learning lessons.
profit and loss. Like you quoted a beautiful shlok from Bhagavad Gita. I say, Sukh dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddha yujjasva nevam papam vapsasi. सुख दुख लाभ हानि तो जीवन का हिस्सा है.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
अगर
It's a
फेलियर नहीं
loop of
आता
life.
तो सक्सेस का मजा भी नहीं आता. So it's very important for us to fail, sometimes fail miserably, and then rise like phoenix. That's an important part of it.
So, few of my classmates, they are aspiring to be an IS aspirant. So, what valuable tips you could share so that they can manage the regime to pursue this career?
Well, the fundamental advice is exactly the same. It applies not only to the IAS community or the IAS examination. I think it applies to everyone in life.
Civil
The
service.
hard work, which is, you see, I will say, एक वो है ना कि अमृतत्व प्रताप प्राप्त करने का कोई छोटा मार्ग नहीं होता. There's no shortcut to immortality.
There is
And if
no-
you really want to become immortal, if you think the IAS officer
you
is
have
immortal,
to go through the enlightenment path.
you got to go through the entire process of hard work, commitment, passion, and clarity of objective. And at
Definitely,
the same
sir.
time, you really have to be, you see, when it comes to the competitive, specifically about the competitive examination, it is not an examination, it is a competitive examination.
Yes, sir.
That's the critical
You have
part
to
of it.
prove yourself in
So
that
you got to be,
exam.
yes, and you got to do better than others.
Yes, that's the
So,
rule.
so what is important is that you really have to be ahead of the learning curve. You have to be constantly, you got to be more, you got to really know more than what there is in the
Others.
book. So, and of course, if you have a disciplined kind of a
Timetable.
system, different kind of a process of studying properly, analyzing, trying to assimilating it, I think it helps. Yeah.
So, you have a multifarious career. So, which of the administrative role was a value addition to your career?
Urushi, what happens is this journey about 38 to 40 years, you kind of positioned, placed in several jobs. But the most important and the most critical job usually happens at the early part of your life. Which is about when I was district magistrate of a place called Raebareli when I was just about 27 years of life. And when I was still supposed to be looking after the welfare about almost 2 million people, all walks of life. And so there's a tremendous opportunity for you to be able to do good for others.
For the society.
To serve people with the right artists, because a whole lot of people are looking up to you to deliver. And the poorest of the people, farmers and people coming from all the ways. And if you listen to them, if you lend them positive, sympathetic ear, half the problems are sorted out. And if you go a step further, one of the high points that I still remember, apart from the usual, events like holding elections of Mrs. Gandhi was one of the
Wow.
I think in 1977. One of the high points that I think of my posting as district magistrate was when I was able to organize a health camp for all the physically handicapped residents of my district
In 1970s.
in 1976 or 77. And that was very rewarding. I got these people all over from different parts of the district. Got that there used to be a Jaipur artificial limb. So the doctors came from there and examined. So that was extremely rewarding.
Yes, sir, because in India, disability is seen like a curse.
Yeah.
It's great, sir. So, me and my peers are very curious to know that how you are able to manage such diverse roles.
No, I think it's a question of spacing your life, spacing your time to pursue the kind of interest and passion that you have. See, you have an option to pursue one particular uh, objective, one particular pursue passion in your life, and keep on pursuing in a single-minded. You have an option.
Yes, sir.
But I always were, blessed in terms of wanting to live life in a multidimensional role. It's full of so many things to do. The world has so many things to offer. I said, what the hell?
But what was your first ever aim in life that you have to achieve this?
To stay happy.
That's good
To
to
stay
know,
happy
sir.
and completely grounded and happy. So I said, whatever gives me happiness, and a lot of things give me happiness. Talking to you is giving me happiness. Music gives me happiness. Writing books give me happiness. So whatever gave me happiness,
You did that.
being a spiritual space,
Being
thinking
in the
about
spirit.
Krishna, think about my God,
sir.
or whoever gives me happiness. So I said, let me try and enrich my life. छोटी सी जिंदगी है, जितना कर सकते हैं करें.
करना चाहिए, sir.
So that was.
But not only for ourselves, for the society, like you have done in your past career, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, I had read one of your articles where you said that education is becoming transdisciplinary. Study of science and arts need not be in separate streams. Both complement each other for creating a paradigm of holistic education. How would you assimilate the different streams, sir?
No, at the end of it all, Urvashi, if you look closely, the distinction between science and humanity ceases to exist if you look at closely. At a peripheral level, they might appear to be different. One is political science and economics and mathematics and physics, chemistry, etc. But if you try and analyze them further, you find the difference between these cease to exist. They, at the end of it all, they're all part of the whole.
They are interdependent.
Interdependent, interconnected, and therefore transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary kind of education really brings about tremendous amount of enrichment in your life. I'll give you a very simple example. Music.
Yes, sir.
Music we often associate as a fine arts. It's part of the humanity, isn't it? But music,
It's
Indian
physics.
classical music, is physics.
Yes, sir.
Pure
I know.
physics.
Yes, sir.
Sarigama Padhanisa all have vibrations, frequency vibration. It has beat, mathematics. Sola matra, teen tal. So you find the kind of complete complementarity between
sir.
science and
They are in-depthly connected.
yes.
But
Yes.
we have to go into.
So you got to go a little deeper and find at the
Yes,
surface
sir.
you might find these are different by different names,
Yes,
but at the end of it all, the origin and the genesis and the
Yes.
foundation is identical. So you can bring about a synthesis, and I think you should bring about a synthesis. One of the great mathematicians, or just to give an example, Einstein was a great musician.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He used to play piano
Piano.
beautifully. So there, I recently read about one great mathematician in one of the universities in America. He said, "But for the music in my part of my blood, I wouldn't have been able to do so well in mathematics." So there we are.
Complemented each other.
They complement each
Both the
other.
subjects
Yes,
complement
yes, yes.
So, being a small writer and aspiring to be an author one day myself, I know that writing can be emotionally draining and stressful pursuit sometimes. So, any tips for aspiring writers, sir?
No, I don't think it's emotionally draining. I think it's emotionally
Cheerful.
satisfying. But the important thing is that you really, you see, you can't sort of write a book just for the heck of it, just because you want to become an author.
No.
It requires a considerable amount of training, bit of an imagination, bit of putting your thoughts together. And I would suggest that if you are thinking in terms of writing as a profession or writing per se, then develop your bit of a critical thinking, bit of a creativity, and pen down your thoughts. Supposing you pick up a subject, then you just don't plunge into it straight away.
Yes.
You collect your thoughts, bring them some different chapters that you want, different aspects that you want to write on, and then start working on it. And once you are got this kind of sequential processes, which becomes a part of the index later,
Index book, yes.
you'll find that you seamlessly will keep on moving from one level to another, and that will be greatly satisfying. But mind you, you should do a bit of research also.
Yes.
Because when you're writing something, you're putting something
You're
into
putting
black and white,
facts.
people, it's there forever as a public domain, and you can't go wrong. So it's important for you to be able to
But-
fully grounded in
But
that.
sometimes, like there are few authors who write wonderfully, but they are not in the limelight till now, and that scares the future aspiring writers. So,
No, Urvashi, I think that's you make me comment on other aspect of it. Don't bother about whether you get recognition or not. Don't worry about that. Just write. Just write. Don't worry whether. And sooner or later, if your content is good, somebody at some point of time you will get. And the biggest recognition which comes from within yourself. Don't worry about whether people say
Just
good
be
things.
happy with
Whether you
your
become a
writing.
bestseller or not doesn't make a difference. You're right. A lot of people have created wonderful kind of scripts the world
yes,
over.
yes, sir.
But not everyone has been able to become
be
so
recognized.
famous. But doesn't make a difference. Somebody will pick that up later on.
And they would get that fame that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
deserve.
Getting fame is not the primary objective. If you desire it, you will get it sooner or later.
So, having read Bhagavad Gita by myself and doing podcasts about Gita by myself, I know how intriguing the musical intonations of mantras are. And with your books, like Managing Life with Bhagavad Gita, the divinity of Gita seems to have held great fascination for you, sir. When and how did you get inspired by the wisdom of Lord Krishna?
You see, if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, the innate message, my inspiration, like if I look at the Bhagavad Gita as in Krishna's version, this life is a one continuous
Materialistic
kind of,
world.
no, it's a continuous movement.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether my inspiration was of this particular birth. Probably it was. My father sort of gave me the first Bhagavad Gita when I was about 5 years old.
Wow.
And then when I got into service, I completely forgot about it. I picked up the thread last 10 years. It's been an absolutely fascinating journey. And but the spiritual part, I think, is part of your sanskar.
Culture.
Part of the value system.
Yes, sir.
Part of the way your
Traditions.
upbringing and your teachers, your peer groups, a sum total of your environment, that I think plays a very important part on your
Yes, sir.
value system. And I would, of course, I don't want to sound either a theist or an agnostic or atheist or what. I don't want to get into this definitional syndrome. But I do think that spirituality
Exists.
creates a very different kind of vision for you. It puts you tremendously at peace, and you're able to handle things in a more with a sense of sagacity,
Stability,
sense of equilibrium, and you become, some kind of universal citizen.
Yes.
Then you don't start distinguishing between one and another.
You see just the positiveness that resides in the
Yeah,
world.
not only you see the positiveness, you see everyone as you.
Yes, sir.
The real meaning of mantra spirituality is that Urvashi is not different from me. And I'm not different from Urvashi. And I'm not different from
Anyone.
anybody. So that I think is the biggest. And once you start treating everyone as what you are, तो उसमें कोई problem नहीं खत्म हो जाएंगी. But like if I'm supposing I'm
That
saying something to
race-
you, if I'm saying something bad to you, what does it mean? I'm saying something bad to myself. So
There's a race among people, sir, nowadays, that they have to just cross each other and be the first one.
So you see, I'm not talking about religion per se. Religions, people can follow their own,
Yes.
professions and their own thought process, ideology. But spirituality raises that bar. You look at the Vasudevam Kutumbakam, that's the principle that we have. as
Hakuna
part.
Matata.
So, that the thought which gets into, which drives all your actions.
Which makes you everything see clearly.
And then that is the biggest mantra, short success for the world peace. If you want
Definitely,
world
sir.
peace in a situation where a lot of conflicts, a lot of tensions, a lot of terrorism. If people start becoming spiritual in the right sense, I think most of the problem will be solved.
So, how would you describe Gita in one sentence to the person who hasn't read Gita yet?
Understand your dharma. Why are you here for? What are you here for? In fact, I'm reminded of Albert Einstein's beautiful story. After he got the Nobel Prize and everyone said, oh, you've done a great thing and now you reached the pinnacle of your glory. Tell us, supposing you were to meet God, so what questions will you ask him? It's a very interesting story. So Albert Einstein said, oh, I'm going to ask him, how did you make this universe? And once I have the answer, and I'm sure God will give me a correct answer, I will be able to solve the mystery of the universe because everything else is mathematics. I'll be able to work it out. But then he paused for a while. Then he says, no, I'm not going to ask him this question. I'm going to ask him, why have you made this world? What is my purpose?
Yes.
Why am I here for? Bhagavad Gita tells you that.
Your duties.
Dharma. What are you here for? You see, we are cast in you talk about multidimensional role. We are cast into this conundrum of this life where we are a student, we are a teacher, we are a mother, we are a father, we are a brother. We are citizens of the universe. So the multiple roles that we perform, each one carries a particular mandate of doing something, which is your dharma. So Krishna took 700 sloks, 18 chapters, right in the middle of Mahabharata, to tell Arjuna, what is your dharma? And once he understood what his dharma was, he transmigrated from a depressed, weak, fragile human being to a warrior. That's how it did.
Yes, so once you know the truth about your birth, you are determined to pass it.
Yes.
So, how did you embark on the journey of happiness and wrote such a lovely book, Happiness to Bliss?
You see, if happiness is part of you, it's innate within you, then you understand. In fact, you start looking, you have an option. Some people are very strongly pessimistic. वो हर चीज़ में बुराई ढूंढते हैं.
Yes, sir, negativeness.
I started looking at positive things and everything. Even in negative, and another thing, it is not as if the negative things did not affect you.
Critics.
So one was try and look at a positive aspect of every activity. The second thing was, which also used to happen frequently, it is, like I said, it's not as negative things did not impact you. But what you did was, you tried to create a situation which you sublimate, you converted the negativity to
Positivity.
So you got to develop that trait. And
But few
Urvashi,
people, they get discouraged after hearing the negative.
yeah, but then this is where it distinguishes you from other people. You develop that kind of a trait. Positive or negative energy दोनों exist करती है.
Yes, sir.
आपके पास choice है.
Yes,
You
to
can be
choose.
positive, you can be negative. Choice is yours. But I'm just trying to tell you, explain to what your question that you're asking. Negativity भी जिंदगी में आएगी. Failures भी जिंदगी में आएंगे. Obstacles भी आएंगी. Problems भी आएंगी. शत्रु भी होंगे. मित्र भी होंगे. But if you develop that kind of a strategy or that trait within you, which is possible,
Yes, sir.
to be able to convert the negativity into positivity, you become a winner. I mean, nobody can bother you. Nobody can harm
When
you
you
at all.
find happiness within yourself, you don't have to go
That's
out
important.
at all.
This is वो एक हिंदी में एक शब्द होता है कि happiness is अनुभवीय, experiential, अनुभवीय.
It's within you.
और एक और होता है, there's another level which is bliss, which is वो आपके अंदर existential है,
Yes, sir.
अस्तित्व परक है. It is part of you. Happiness in a classical definition is something you experience. You come in contact with people, you see nice people, you experience happiness. But bliss, which is another level, is astitva parak, existence. Stays within you. You really need to open it up and find
And
out.
we just look around the world.
Yes, you look around, yes.
But it's within us. So I had the opportunity to read your book, Death and Eternal Truth, and was too awed by the way you have portrayed the fact that death is inevitable. Yet, when our loved ones die, some do not accept it, while some grieve for a long time, even though we know that nothing is going to change and ultimately it would be affecting us. Why do we do so, and how can we avoid it?
First, you need to accept the inevitability of death not only for others but for also yourself. And if you go by our spiritual text, what actually dies is your body. But you're not a body.
You're a soul.
You're eternal. You're here forever. This is exactly also the great message of Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, yes.
That nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dayati pavuka. You must have heard about that. सवाल ये है कि अगर आप समझते हैं कि you are there for a short period of time and you're perishable and you have only the worldly and the materialistic view, you will be upset. On another front, which I mentioned in the book, that if your near and dears go away from here and you start crying, you're not doing anything great. Because what are you crying for? You're crying for yourself. Mera kya hoga? Isn't that selfish?
Selfishness.
Isn't that selfish? So,
But some part of them would be missing them, that
I
they
think
won't be getting to spend time with their
Yeah,
loved
that's okay.
ones.
That's again that's very very physical, materialistic kind of an attitude. But then you always have their values, the work, the memories beautiful time that you spent with them. If you treasure them, and if you follow the path set by those people, then you don't worry. Then you don't cry. I think the crying is not a very good thing. If you can crying over your own personal misery and showing it to the world is not a good thing, isn't
So
it?
this reminds me of the story of 3 laughing Buddhas
Yes.
who used to laugh at other people's misery, just to show them that even though you are in tough conditions, tough obstacles, it's the life,
Right.
and you can't do anything about it.
You got to accept that this is going to happen. Let me live my life as if there's no tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Right? So this is a.
But sir, I do feel that there are some people who haven't led their life to fullest and they were gone too soon. So
Well, I mean, I'm nobody to give you explanation of that phenomena. But then again, if you go by the scriptures, I think it's at the end of it all your own karmas, your karmic philosophy, that possibly explains these factors. And I don't think you and I should be getting into that debate at this stage.
thank you so much, sir. When I entered this room, I was just some student, but now when I would leave this room, I would be full of morals, full of knowledge, full of experience. Thank you so much for this opportunity,
Thank
sir.
you very much. You are a teacher, I'm a student now at the end of it
Sir,
all.
as we all know that you have a love for classical music,
Yes.
so we would like to end this talk show with few lines in your voice.
Okay, so let me sing a Bhagavad Gita shlok. Let me chant that
Definitely.
in a musical form.
I love that, sir.
It's a very beautiful shlok, appears in this chapter 18th of the Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadhar man parityaja mamekam sharanam vraj. Sarvadhar man parityaja mamekam sharanam vraj. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayami ma sucha. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayami ma sucha. Mokshishyami ma shucha. Mokshishyami ma shucha. Mokshishyami ma shucha. Ma shucha. Ma shucha.
Goosebumps, sir. I literally got goosebumps. Mesmerizing, sir. Truly. With this melodious tune, we come to an end of today's talk show. Stay tuned for another episode of Jaipurian Rendezvous. Radio Spark, the voice of Jaipuria, where you'll talk and the world listens.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay tuned to Radio Spark, the voice of Jacoria, where you talk and the world listens.